Welcome to the Get Fit with Me, expanding your physical and mental fitness group. This group is for individuals who are ready to expand both their physical and mental fitness while helping and supporting others with similar goals all along the way. I am pumped for today's training because these are the trainings where I encourage you to move. So if you're watching live on Facebook, drop hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, drop hashtag replay. If you're here with us on the Zoom screen, I really like to encourage the movement for these sessions. Any of these sessions, you're welcome to move. But this session specifically, as you can see, I am moving. There's been sessions where I take this outside and we are outside walking. I've done this where I've been sitting on my bike. It's a little bit more bobbing that happens. I have recently, in the last couple months, bought a treadmill for underneath my desk that comes with a little remote. And that is how I've been doing these movement workshops these last couple months. The reason that I love this is, I don't know about you, but I really like to listen to stuff when I am moving, or I like to listen to things when I'm with other people. And what that means is, like, I like to listen to a podcast in the car with others. So how can I combine us being together, moving, which is fantastic for our body, and us learning? Those are three things that I really love. So I wanted to combine them all into one. So if you haven't already, grab your tennis shoes, bundle up if you're somewhere cold, get outside, start walking, put those headphones in. If you are somewhere warm, put those shoes on and get on your treadmill, your bike, your elliptical. Maybe you're just gonna stretch for these next 30 to 40 minutes for us talking. So no matter what, I do these move and learns for 30 minutes because there is a benefit to moving for 30 minutes. It's good for our heart. It's good for us to be able to hold a steady cardio pace for 20 to 30 minutes anytime we do it. Steady state cardio. So today we're going to be combining some mental fitness, some nutrition, some goal setting, and actually physical movement today. So if you haven't already, grab your shoes. Let me know in the comments if you are here live or in the replay. Let me know, and we are going to get started. So I work with a coach. His name is Pat Rigsby. He's fantastic, and he sends out emails. Got a daily email that goes out. And today, his headline caught my eye. And it's one of those things that I've heard before, but there was something about it today, and I wanted to share it with you. And it was, a year from now, what will you have to show for what you're doing today? So think about that. A year from now, what are you going to have to show for what you are doing today? One thing that I have found is it really made me reflect on, what does my current routine look like? Am I hitting the marks that I wanted to hit this time last year? So I'm just gonna have you kind of sit with that question during our session today. And we had Jean pop on. Jean, are you just listening, or are you gonna join in and talk today?
I can join in and talk, and I'm actually in my cheer room, and I don't know what's going on with my camera, but it's my lunch, and since I redid my schedule, I'm making it a working lunch, and then I'll grab an apple afterwards, or I'll probably leave a little bit early.
I love it. So perfect. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to have you here. The question that I'm having you guys kind of think about over the next little 25 minutes-ish is, a year from now, what will you have to show for what you're doing today? So as we kind of talk about some different things today, we are going to do Q&A, so I'm going to see if anybody's got any questions, but I'm also going to share a little bit about what I'm currently doing and what my plan is going into the new year. A few of you have asked, and I realize I don't ever share that unless somebody asks, so I will be sharing that later today. Jean, do you have any questions or anything specific that you want to talk about? And if not, that's okay too.
Well, I'm super interested in your chickpeas and dehydrating them, because I did the last couple nights when I've been kind of hungry for crunchiness and I usually go for chips, I have gotten into my stash of dried apples that dried from fresh apples. And that has actually really helped. And I have not hit the chips, but I'm kind of looking for some variety. And I didn't know with the chickpeas, is that something that, what do you do? And salt, that kind of stuff.
Awesome question. So Kristen actually asked me this yesterday. She said, when you eat chickpeas, do you eat them out of the can or do you actually get them and boil them and do all the things? I go for easy peasy. So chickpeas or garbanzo beans is what you'll find them at the store. I usually get them from Aldi, so I think they're called garbanzo beans there. You'll get a can and you're gonna rinse them. So you'll put them in a strainer, you'll drain, and then you're gonna rinse them. And then you wanna get as much of that water off of them. So the way that I read is lay paper towel down and then put paper towel on top and lightly just like pat them and dry them. If you use too much pressure, you'll see the casing from the chickpeas fall off and you actually want that casing on. So it's a very light. They also said to let them sit on the counter for 20 minutes to an hour to let them air dry. I was too impatient when I wanted to try them, so I did not. But that is, I think that's key to making them be crispier.
Okay.
So then what you'll do is once they're dried as much as you can, you're gonna throw them in a small little bowl with a little bit of olive oil, just enough to coat them. And then you're also going to put, you can choose your seasonings. So I did this last time. I did a little bit of salt. I did a little bit of pepper. I did a little bit of paprika. And I feel like I did a little bit of chili powder because I wanted some with a kick. I didn't want just plain garbanzo beans. I love plain garbanzo beans. I think they're delicious and fantastic, but I wanted something with that flavor. So you'll then mix them all together so everything's coated evenly. I use my air fryer. If you don't have an air fryer, I'm assuming you can do the same thing in the oven, and I can find the recipe for you, Jean, because I think it has an oven in there. But you'll just pour them on a cookie sheet if you're going to use the oven, or you're going to put them in your air fryer if you're going to use your air fryer. Pop it in, and I believe it was don't quote me on this, I will get you the recipe. I believe it was like 385 for like 10 minutes, and I would shake them to kind of let them rotate. I don't like the super crunchy. Mike really liked the crunchy ones. So you can kind of decide if you want them more crunchy, you leave them in longer. If you want a little bit of softness and squish to them, you can take them out a little bit earlier. But super simple. I did one can, did them all, threw them in. Mike and I actually ate the entire can as an appetizer before our dinner on Saturday.
Okay. All right.
So, do you have an air fryer?
I do. I have an air fryer. And so with doing the olive oil and then the salt and pepper and whatever, then that is why you would then put them in the air fryer. So that makes, yeah. No,
I'm going to drop the recipe here in the chat for you. I'll put it in, because I'm pretty sure this is the one I use, the skinnytaste.com. The other thing that I have found with them is you don't always have to use the olive oil. So I found 2 recipes. One was dry them off, mix them with your seasoning, and then spray them with Pam or whatever like you'd spray your pans with. You know what I'm talking about? Yep. So you can either spray them or you can use olive oil. Doesn't matter. The spray is going to be your lesser calories if you're looking at that. I haven't tried that version out, but that I know they have recipes for both. So you may want to try them both out and see which one you like better. I think the olive oil is going to keep them a little bit chewier because it's going to kind of absorb, whereas that spray is just going to coat them enough to make them crispy on the outside, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does.
Great question. I love that. Any other questions or recipes or anything really?
No, I'm pretty good on that, I think, but that was my question for today.
Perfect. Well, if something else comes up, let me know.
All right.
So, moving lunch. We're gonna be walking for the next 20-ish minutes. And I've had some of you ask me, what do you do for your workouts? What do you do for cardio? How often do you move? What do you eat? And like I said, I don't always share this. So I'm gonna share today. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to interrupt, ask, drop them in the comments. I am gonna refresh the feed on Facebook to make sure I've got nothing in there. But as you're listening, drop things. I will follow up on the chat. So if something comes up as you're watching the replay, I will get your question answered. So when it comes to workouts, my commitment, so the Commit to Your Health program, we're officially on week 2. And the commitment that I've made for myself as the participants, such as Jean, goes through this program, is I'm doing 15 minutes of intentional movement every day. So what that looks like for me is either biking, walking, or strength training. So every single day, I have to do 15 minutes of biking, walking, or strength training. So right now, that is what is happening every single day in my life. But in addition, I get 2 30-minute strength training workouts a week at minimum. So as I'm planning out, I know this time's busier. I know there's travel happening. And I know that with my work schedule, things are squished and I'm limited on time. So during this time of the year, my workouts really shrink down to 30 minutes or less. And I've become really effective in that time by making sure I'm hitting my core movements. I'm doing a core exercise. I'm doing something for my quads, something for my glutes and hamstrings, so the back side of my body, something for my chest, and something for my back. If I can hit those 5 muscle groups, that right there knows that I'm creating an equal balance in my body and I'm gonna get stronger. Even if the workout's not 30 minutes long, or let's say it's 20 minutes instead of 30, it doesn't have to be an hour. I'm moving and I'm doing strength training with intention behind it. Often we strength train and we pick up the weights and we'll do bicep curls or we'll do squats. And we kind of just stick between 2 or 3 exercises that we know. Every single week, I try to make sure that I'm working in a different plane. So squats are gonna keep my feet and my knees straight forward. Well, the next time I strength train, I'm gonna do a lateral lunge to make sure I'm working my body laterally and not just forward and back. So there's so many different components that I can think of when it comes to creating your workouts. The biggest thing though that I really try to focus on is, do I have my 5 main muscle groups? If so, I use the program, the exercises that I know that come to mind right away. Come the first of the year, I'm going to be planning my workouts a month at a time. I'm going to plan the days. I've planned the days every single day, every single week this year. Next year, I'm going to plan my workouts in advance. I usually plan them beforehand that day, but come January, my February workouts will be planned in January. My January workouts will be planned the end of December, because I want to see that strength grow. I want to have stronger, more defined muscles. So it takes a little bit more of progression and uniqueness in your workouts, rather than just kind of doing the same thing over and over. You may have also heard this as progressive overload. Slowly overloading your muscles and making yourself stronger over time. It's not meaning I'm going to go and start lifting 30 pounds heavier than what I was doing yesterday tomorrow. But over time, I'm going to slowly build up to it. Something else that come the first of the year that's going to be implemented on a consistent basis, I'm doing it now, but it's very small and not as consistent, is 30 minutes of cardio. 30 minutes of higher intensity cardio, which for me could be teaching one of those Monday classes. So Mondays at noon, I teach a cardio core combo class. We get that heart rate up for 30 minutes. Or it could be on my bike, because I need, and we all need, that stronger, longer cardio session to make that heart stronger. So that's kind of what right now, 15 minutes of intentional movement every single day, biking, walking, or strength training, and then 2 strong strength training workouts during the week. I schedule those ahead of time. That's inconsistently, I'm doing that 30 minutes of cardio, but it's not consistent, and I'm going to be honest with it. Come the first of the year, my workouts are going to be pre-programmed a month in advance. I'm going to have at least 2 strength training workouts, 1 cardio, and then I'm going to keep up with the 15 minutes of intentional movement every day because it makes my mind right. It makes me happy. It makes me feel better. And we were actually talking about seasonal depression yesterday. I was talking about it with somebody, and they had asked, like, do I get affected by it? And I do. We live in Michigan. I really don't enjoy the cold, and I'm gonna probably be here for at least another year. With that being the case, I've had to find ways to kind of get myself ahead of that. Because it's really easy when it's dark until 8 and then dark by 5. It's really hard to want to get out and do things, and I get that. And I work from home, so I'm just here all the time. So ways that I help combat that for me is movement every day, making sure that I'm eating good foods and foods that make me feel good. If I'm eating kind of crappy for a few days in a row, that does not help, makes me not want to go out and do things. And the other thing that really helps is pre-scheduling get-togethers with people. So I know that's kind of a different topic, and we could dive into that a little bit deeper, but I wanted to share as we get in, for those of you who live in Michigan or anywhere where it's gray and cold and rainy and snowy and muddy for the next couple months, make sure you're getting movement and get the endorphins going, get your body feeling good. We feel achier when it's cold out. If we move, our body feels better, we feel less achy. Make sure you're eating good foods, proteins, carbs, fats, vegetables, fruits, all these things that you know what's going in it, and they make you feel good and fuel your body. And then schedule things. So often we get into the, I don't want to go out and do something. Every week I have something scheduled, such as next week, I have wine night with a friend on Wednesday. And then next Friday, one of my childhood friends and I, we're gonna meet at the mall and we're gonna walk because it's too cold for us to walk outside. But we're gonna go to the Meridian Mall and we're gonna walk together. So pre-scheduling these things give you something to look forward to. So if you're someone who can kind of get in that rut of feeling down, maybe getting some of that seasonal depression, that right there is helpful. The last thing that I do that you should always make sure that you've talked to your physician or you've seen your blood work on is a vitamin D supplement. I actually just started taking it this morning. I take a vitamin D supplement just kind of over the counter. I think it's Nature's Bounty is the brand that I currently have. And I just take a little bit every day with my coffee and my breakfast because it's just vitamin D is good for us. We don't see very much of it in the winter. So I want to touch on that. Okay, so we talked about exercise, talked about seasonal depression, food. What do I eat? Well, I have a few people in the Commit to Your Health program who are food logging, which has inspired me to food log, so I can tell you. I normally have a bigger breakfast. So my breakfast is bigger, and it's either a breakfast sandwich, so sourdough bread with 2 eggs. This morning I had avocado on it because they were finally ripe. But in the past couple days I've had goat cheese. Honey goat cheese is my favorite. It makes a really nice, savory breakfast sandwich that is not very high in calories, that is higher in protein, and makes me feel good up until lunch or up until that next meal that I have. Something else that I like to have is a breakfast smash, which you guys have heard me talk about, which is usually some sort of potato, whatever potato I have in the cupboard, whether it's a sweet potato, potato with the white skin, potato with the red skin, whatever it is. And then I do 2 eggs on top. I usually do some sort of cheese, whether it's a cream cheese or cheddar cheese or goat cheese. I use some sort of fat in there. And then I add whatever leftover vegetables I have in the fridge. Sometimes I'll add hot sauce, just depends on the day. And I make kind of a breakfast smash. Having a large breakfast is key to my day, key to my nutrition, key to not having me be a hangry and sad person throughout the day. If I start to feel like if I can't have a good breakfast in the morning, it takes a lot for me to have the energy to do things because my body's telling me I need something, I need something, I need something. And if I'm not giving it to it, I will go and I will be tired and I'll be lethargic and it'll be really hard to have the energy to do and work with my clients in the morning. So big breakfast is key for me. With my big breakfast, I usually do a cup of coffee And depends on what the day looks like. I'll sometimes do a scoop or two of collagen in it. Like I said, this is just a generalization. I don't eat the same every single day. I don't want to get bored of my food, but I have different things that I pull to create that variety. I don't normally eat a lunch because eat a morning snack because my breakfast is pretty large, so it can sustain me until that 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock mark. And then I have lunch, and lunch is usually pretty big, and it can look like anywhere from tuna as my protein, canned chicken, leftovers. This week it was spaghetti squash spaghetti, and it was really filled with meat, so it was like a meat lover spaghetti, so protein was high. And then, like I said, sometimes if that lunch is bigger, which makes me feel good because my day is busy, I don't always have time to snack in between. I'm on calls with clients, I'm seeing clients, that I need to have something that's going to fuel me in my three gaps. So between lunch and dinner, it's very rare, but I will sometimes grab. Aldi makes a 4-ingredient granola bar. Essentially, it's made with dates, peanuts, and 2 other things. I don't have it with me. I'm actually out of them right now because Aldi's been out for a while, but they have a 4-ingredient bar. I can read all the ingredients on the back, and that's usually my go-to in the afternoon if I need a little pick-me-up. And then for dinner, honestly, it's a variety for us here. I try to meal prep earlier in the week when I know we have a busy week and I don't want to do a lot of cooking and cleaning. It really saves my time, saves Mike's time, it just saves time at the end of the night. So with that being the case, tonight we're having salad and grilled chicken that I grilled up earlier in the week. Yesterday, my mom and I went out and we had dinner at Panera. The day before that, we had spaghetti squash. So it just kind of depends. But I eat 3 big meals, but I always have food on hand for those mid-morning and mid-afternoon snacks because you never know. I never know, and I never want to be without something. Any questions on that? And you have to find what's right for you. If you know you're better with a smaller breakfast and a bigger lunch and a smaller dinner, then do that. But if you find yourself snacking randomly all over the place in your day, it probably means you're not eating enough at each meal or your meals are not balanced. So really, if you're feeling like you're kind of eating all day long and you can't seem to get it under control or can't seem to figure out why, you can start a food log. I'm using my the Fitbit app to food log currently. I've got a few other people that are using my MyFitnessPal or they're just using a notebook. I do a whole food log training inside the Commit to Your Health program. We go over it. We talk about start to finish food logging and the importance of it. So if you want to learn about that, let me know, drop food in the comments, and I'll talk to you about kind of what that food logging system looks like. Awesome. So the final thing that I wanted to share here relates back to our first question. If a year from now, what will you have to show for what you're doing today? So a year from now, think back to where you were a year ago. What were you doing? Do you remember? Were you exercising? Were you drinking water? Were you eating good foods? What were your habits a year ago? Are they the same or are they different? Mine are different. Health is a long game. Health is not something that we can just spend all day, every single day at the gym, eating all the perfect foods. Because in reality, that's not how life is. Life is not like that. Life is about enjoying the moment. And sometimes that means, crap, I can't even get a 30-minute workout today. I can only get 15. Great, do the 15. Sometimes it's like, I didn't get all my servings of vegetables in and we're going out to dinner tonight. It's okay. Acknowledge it. Can you get a vegetable in at dinner when you go out? Can you swap a potato or can you swap, I don't know. I don't do appetizers. I usually do a Caesar salad and rice. So can you swap something to add a vegetable in? Where were you a year ago? What are you doing today? I just told you what I was doing today. A year ago, I was riding my bike about 5 days a week. I learned that was not sustainable for me and that I was missing out on strength training. Super, super important to strength train. So I shifted my mindset and I shifted what I was doing. So from now until next year, you already kind of heard what I'm doing going into next year. You heard that I'm going to prepare my workouts in advance. For food, I'm really going to work on that grocery list and that meal prepping. Ideally, we grocery shop every 2 weeks. So I'm going to make a plan a month in advance. What does my month look like? Because I usually know it. If you know me personally, you know I'm a planner. You know I like things going all one way. So where were you last year? Put it in the comments. Let me know. What were you doing for yourself this time last year? Was it anything? Was it I was starting to drink more water? Where were you a year ago? Were you in chronic pain last year? Where are you today? Are you drinking now 60 ounces of water instead of 0? Are you now moving every single day? Are you now making sure you stretch once a week? Are you getting at least 1 vegetable in per day? And last year you weren't doing that. What are you doing today? Put in the comments. And where do you want to be a year from now? And is what you are doing today going to get you to that spot? Are you slowly working towards that direction? Because health is not a one and done. It's not a Whole30. It's not a 21-day fix. It's not I need to go spend hours at the gym. You are busy. You are working. You are managing the household. There are things that you are doing. And life happens around you. And you have to be able to adapt. And so often, when life happens to us, or we think, oh, this is happening to me, we let that fall on us and then we don't do anything. You stand into life and you choose what's going to happen. Oh, my girlfriend asked me to go out tonight. Oh, not a big deal. I want to make sure I get all my water in before I go to dinner tonight so that I can have those glass of wines and feel good and not have to worry about it later. Whatever it is. Life is not predictable. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. And we each have a different lifestyle. But you can start implementing little things each and every day and creating that routine, what makes you feel good, while giving yourself the grace of, oh, this came up or that came up, and acknowledging that it came up and making those shifts because it's what you need to do and you want to do, not because you have to, because life has thrown this at you. And then you are slowly moving to the next step. So, where do you want to be a year from now? Do you want to be stronger? Do you want to be leaner? Do you want your clothes to fit looser? Do you want to have to buy new pants? Do you want clearer skin? Do you want to be able to walk a whole mile while talking the entire time? Where do you want to be? What are some things you want to get to by this time next year? Because it takes time. We can't go into something and expect it to be there and fixed overnight. I feel like you guys have heard me say this before, but remember, let's say you're 50 right now. Let's say you're 45, let's say you're 30, whatever age you are, and you want to make a change for yourself, for your family, for your kids, for your people in your life. You want to make a change for yourself and them. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a month. It's not going to happen in a year. It's going to take consistent time of working on everything. Doesn't mean it has to consume you, but if it's taken you 30 years to decide you wanted to make a change, it's going to take you more than a year to have that change fully change into a habit. We can change anything. I could cut out carbs for a month if I wanted to, but I know there's going to be a breaking point where I'm going to need those, and my body needs them, and it knows it needs them. So we want to make sure that the goals that we are reaching towards are ones that are going to be long-term, that we can always keep going towards. My goal, one of my long-term goals, is to never have to be on medication. I don't want to have to be on blood pressure. I don't want to have to be on any medication when I'm older. If I can prevent it. If I can prevent it with my diet, my exercise, taking care of my mind. One of my other goals is I want to be able to lift shit. It is so empowering to be able to pick up that piece of furniture with ease and move it. It allows us to be independent. So what are things that you want to be long-term? And what do you have to start doing today to get you one step closer a year from now? So we are at our 30-minute mark, so we are going to jump on off here. Make sure, answer some of those questions that I asked you. Think about them. If you're unsure about any of them, and you're like, oh my, I haven't ever thought about that. That's okay. Think about it. Write it down. Voice memo to yourself. Get it out of your head. Okay, so we did talk about food logging a bit. If you want to learn about food logging and how it applies to you and your goals, just drop food in the comments and we will have a conversation. I can get you in the right direction, get you moving. But I will see you all next Thursday, same time, same place. We're going to be talking about hacking your health. So I'm super excited. And I hope you guys had a fantastic Thanksgiving last week. You have a great weekend this weekend, and I will see you next week.